Hey guys, it's me, Brent Bowers, your landman, and today I have a power-packed episode with my buddy, Micah Nicholas. He owns US Lead List, and this guy is doing huge land deals. He's going to talk about a couple of them on the episode. He's going to tell you about a $250,000 net profit assignment fee that he made on the land deal. But he's also got some pretty good coaching he shares in this episode about how to turn an angry phone call into a profitable deal. So I'm not going to waste time on this intro. Let's go ahead and jump right into the episode. What's going on, Rhino Nation? It's me, Brent Bowers, and I got my good buddy Micah Nicholas out of Wisconsin with US Lead List on the podcast with me today. And holy cow, he's going to blow your socks off on some of the land deals he's gotten from what I call the secret list. A lot of people don't know about this list, and I've had him on the podcast before, but it's been about a year. I'd say it's been over a year actually since we had him. So we can kind of fast forward to what he's up to, what he's seeing his clients do. Not only does he have a list, an inheritance list for vacant raw land, which I love. He also, houses as well, houses and other properties. So not just land. So if you're like going to tune me out because you don't do land deals, I highly encourage you to stay and hear what Mr. Micah's got to say. Well, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you. Great to be here. I always love talking real estate with you.
Heck yeah. Well, let's just jump right into it, man. I mean, you and I get to see a lot of real estate investors. I'm kind of, I got my blinders on for land, but you get to see not just land deals happen, but all kinds of real estate deals. I guess let's start with like, what is working for your clients that you're seeing, buy your list, your inheritance list. What are you seeing working for them today? How are they making the most money right now? Up there. Is that another client or a real estate deal going on?
That is a client, actually. Oh, he's actually my partner, believe it or not, who he's trying to figure out what we're going to do with the land deal that we've got rolling right now. We got the property that we bought from the inheritance list, and we're figuring out our offer to make to the city, the adjacent city lots. Because of our parcel, they can't build on. Like there's no way to build it. And so we're buying it from the city. And that should be a pretty sweet little deal once we kind of tie all the pieces together. But it's really slow working with cities, there's a lot of red tape. But back to your question, we'll circle back to that. What's working for my clients? I think what's working best is just creating good, solid conversations. It's like, okay, yeah, that's obvious, Micah, right? But how do you do that? How do you start a good conversation? And for me, and what I've seen, and the people who like literally just make the most money in real estate from our data, is they're sending out super neutral letters and they're just creating conversations. And the people who are the uber successful, they're the people who are taking those angry phone calls, and they can transition that anger into a prospect, into someone who may want to sell because they're so good at listening. Like, that's like the ultimate secret power right now. It's like AI and all the things that it can do. Great. But it's not a human, and it doesn't solve one of our most basic needs, which is, will someone pay attention to me? Will someone acknowledge how I'm feeling? Will someone, take the time and concern to understand my very specific situation and solve the pain points around that? That has been what's been working really well for my clients. And that's really where I focus on kind of coaching folks and helping them get traction there.
Well, would you be open to doing a little coaching on this podcast right now about that? Because that's a big concern. Like a lot of people are afraid of those angry calls. I don't necessarily like them myself. So how do I turn like an angry prospect, someone that calls from one of my letters that I sent them, how do I turn that person that's angry into, an ally and get them on my side of the desk and we do a deal together?
I think the first step is understanding how, you're basically reaching out to them. Most people get frustrated because, they feel like you're invading their privacy, kind of overstepping your bounds as a stranger. At least this is what I find. And I don't know if it's true specifically for your business, but giving people breadcrumbs, a logical process for them to follow, to understand how you got their information. In the world, especially on the inheritance list, the secret list that you mentioned, it's like most of these people, they're old. And usually that's what most sellers end up being. Not always, but most. They've owned it for a long time. They've had it. It's just assets sitting around. And so give them an understanding of how you got their information. And I just boldface tell people, Hey, I got your information from the county records. I went to this crazy site. It's called truepeoplesearch.com. And I put your address in and your number came up and that's what I call. And all of a sudden they go from like, why are you calling me to like, wow, that totally makes sense. And like, if you can build that bridge for people as an understanding, they understand like business, making money, doing business transactions, all of those things aren't foreign. But when there's a disconnect on how you're connecting with them, especially for older people, like there's all sorts of resistance. And so like pushing past that barrier and giving them, like I said, just breadcrumbs to follow. I'm a normal guy. I'm an honest person. I want to help you. Do you need to sell your land? Do you need to sell your property? That's there's another layer with this secret list that you touch upon is that you're introducing yourself into a really charged situation, right? We're mailing folks who had someone they love pass away. This person's irreplaceable. And the pain associated with that is oftentimes so great that just, touching on it, just, just being put into that relationship with them, they're just going to spew hot lava everywhere. Oftentimes there's nothing you can do. Again, coming back to what I said before, listening, just listen to someone be angry. I'm so pissed off. You're talking to me. You calling me. This is totally, unreasonable for you to ask to buy this property. This person just passed away. It's like, hey, I am so sorry for your loss. I am so sorry that you lost this person that was significant. And you just acknowledge it. You don't have to fight. You don't have to but all the same, sir, I'm here to help. Is this an option where like maybe you would solve some of your logistical headaches and, just absorb it. Like for me, it's just non-personal because like, I don't know, if any of the people listening to this, they've ever lost someone. That pain it's like a mountain, man. And, you look up and it seems like it'll never end. And if you can,
Oh, good.
if you can relate to that, you can really help people in a way that you can't before.
That's so good, man. That's a lot to unpack. And I find that when elderly people are confused, like they don't know how the heck are you calling? How do you even know about this? They get angry.
Yep.
They get angry when they're confused. And a confused mind never sells or buys. They don't do a deal. And what I heard was listen, 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 and then have empathy. Like, I'm so sorry. Empathy is putting yourself in their shoes. I heard somebody giving a great example of empathy is basically empathy is there's two options. Like one, your buddy's in a hole and you stand above the hole and be like, man, I'm sorry. But true empathy is getting down in the hole with that person and feeling that pain that they're stuck in that hole. But have that empathy and then validate them. Man,
Yeah.
I get it must be good.
I was going to say to your point, like anyone can tell if they're in pain, if someone is willing to kind of get down in that hole. It's like you can say, I'm sorry for your loss. Or you can say, wow, like that must have just shattered your world. I can't even imagine what you're going through.
That right there. You just,
It
that's it.
literally just happened to my dad. My dad lost his wife. She died from cancer. It's this tragic thing. And it's so interesting just watching it from the inside because I practice this all the time in my business. And so now like I'm kind of the inside version as a family, member watching my dad go through this scenario. And like almost within a couple of days, he's like, Dad, Micah, I need your help with my real estate. I gotta do something. And he's trying to figure out, but he's also really guarded at the same time. And so it's like, how do you break through that barrier?
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that loss. That's terrible. I mean, what an experience that you're doing that with your dad. And these people also need validation too. It's like, that must be devastating. And I mean, you're probably, talking to your father or the person on the other end of the line. You're probably like not sure what direction to turn right now. So it's almost like, don't forget the empathy and then the validation. That must be hard. It must be like devastating. You probably are not sure which direction to take. And then final piece is the leadership. What I do, how I can help you with your situation, because they don't care about you. They're worried about their world right now is I'm looking to buy another piece of land in that area.
I would insert one other thing in there, and that is to humanize yourself in some way, shape, or form. Get them to laugh, get them to talk about their dog. Oh, is that, did I hear a puppy in the background? Oh, no way. I love dogs. What kind of dog do you have? And all of a sudden, you're talking about their dog for 30 seconds. And you cross through this barrier that's so hard to get to if you're just going strictly business. People do business with folks who they know, like, and trust. Would you sell a piece of a property to a friend over a stranger? And how do you make friends? And really, it's just by taking moments, acknowledging, whatever it is. Like, you can get a lot of auditory cues on the phone by what's happening, and just take a second, acknowledge something that you think might be important, and maybe you'll miss, maybe it won't do anything, but when it does, you'll notice a difference on the quality of the call.
Yeah.
And then
I love that.
and then transition and, hey man, this is what I do. This is my business. I'm an investor in land. I'm an investor in house, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden, you're talking to someone who wants to hear your message because they like your story. They feel like they like you because you've shown them that you like them.
Yeah, that's so good. Humanize yourself. And it could be just with what your dad's going through. You could share that.
Absolutely. And I do. And it works.
And I think when it really work is when you actually do take the time to care and, not be surfing like Facebook while you're having these conversations with people. And another thing is I recommend setting up a Zoom call with them or a FaceTime. If they have an iPhone, you can pretty much tell very easily. But hey, I'd like to set up a face-to-face where you can kind of see what I look like and vice versa. I want to know I'm doing business with a real person. I'm not AI, that could be a joke as well. And you can make me talk, but we all like a common enemy, in the military. Sometimes we fought together, we fought against each other, but we had a common enemy. We no longer fought against each other. We fought against the common enemy. So that common enemy could be AI. Oh yeah, I had to call the bank the other day and I talked to this machine for like 37 minutes and I was getting so mad. Tell an elderly person that they're gonna just unload and vent, and before you know it, you're best friends. But set that video call up somehow or another. I highly encourage people to do that. Guys, we have no competition here. Most people will not jump on a video call. Most buyers, most acquisition managers, most wholesalers will not jump on a video call. So I send videos to sellers all the time because I want them to see me. It really helps when you have like a cute kid with you. I have 3 of them. They need jobs too, but people love it. Okay, let's transition a little bit. You kind of tickled my ears a little bit right before we hit the record button. I think you've done one of the largest assignment fees I've ever heard of on a piece of land that you got from your secret list here. It finally sounds like it closed finally, and I don't have all the details. I'd love to know, if you can keep it short because we're going long. You got so much I want to get out of you. And I'm taking advantage right now because Micah, I'm not kidding you. You get to talk to so many buyers of real estate, and I know it works both ways. You do a lot of coaching for them as well. But how did that deal go?
So yeah, I'll try and be quick here. I sent this guy a letter. He sent me a letter back, which is weird. So I sent him a letter back again. Didn't hear from him. I door knocked this guy, I think 4 times before I finally got a face-to-face with him. I tried to call him. I did, basically everything I could, because what I saw that he had was this really, really valuable piece of property. He had 4 acres in the middle of one of, the nicest areas in Madison, Wisconsin, close to where I live. So I finally got in front of this guy. I made him an obscenely low offer. I think it was like I can't remember, $500,000 for these 4 acres. And that was, a good percentage off of the assessed value. Anyway, he laughed at me and told me to get out of town. And so I kept on going. I made him, I think I made 6 more offers. Finally, we got him to say yes at $2 million. So, part of that contract was, it was basically an option to purchase. We had a year. We had to get the property rezoned for multifamily because that was its ultimate highest, best use. After going back and forth with the city, zoning, all the things. And, I'm brushing over a ton here because I had to learn a lot to kind of get all these pieces. I'd never done a development deal. I'd never learned how to, transition zoning and kind of do that with a very conservative city. Madison is really tough to build anything in. At the end of this, we sold that option to purchase to the end developer for $2.25 million. We walked with a $250,000 check, my partner and I, and to date, still my largest assignment I've ever done, which was on land. And, I normally work on houses and definitely largest spread deal that I've ever done. But, really it all came down to the quality of the lead, right? It's like, I knew I didn't have to target this guy anymore. I knew he had a really nice asset and I knew he wanted to sell. His sister passed away. She had given him the property and kind of all the pieces were there. And I just dove deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And my reward was $250,000.
So when you say $250,000, just for anybody that's not a mathematician, whatever,
It's both, actually.
that's
Yeah.
$250,000, correct?
Correct.
And this is US dollar, not like pesos or anything like that.
Not pesos. Yeah, that was USD.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna hit the victory bell for Micah. That's incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. How'd you find this person? How'd you know to send him a letter? Where'd you get this data?
So yeah, he was on our inheritance list. So he had vacant land, and then he had a house that was adjoining it on a separate parcel. And so I sent him a letter, and kind of the rest is history.
How do people get their hands on this beautiful list? And I know before you say it, for the land side, you sell one person per state. So, which I love. It's like no competition, but you're almost sold out. Fortunately, when we're airing this episode, I know you have several states left. You sent me the list, but how do people get their hands on this thing?
So, I mean, the best way is just go through our site, grab a quote, tell us where you found out about us. But yeah, just, fill out the interests, you write us an email. Honestly, I think you've got a link set up, inheritedland.com. I think that might be a really clean route because it'll just tell me how you heard about us, which is cool because, giving Brent props for the good work and kind of letting me share my story, I think it's extremely valuable for me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's inheritedlandlist.com. No, it's okay. I actually had to look it up real quick. Inheritedlandlist.com. That's going to take you to Micah's site, US lead list, inheritedlandlist.com. Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And that list is well worth it. It's not cheap, definitely not cheap, but at the end of the day, I mean, just some of the people I've talked to, like Travis Goodwin, that's crushing it with your list. Some of the deals I've done with the list. I don't have Florida anymore, which you know that. However, I've gotten the opportunity to work a few of those with people that have the list and funded a few of those, which is awesome. Now at this point, I'm doing less and less of my own personal deals and just funding land deals for land sharks because it's really cool when you teach someone how to do something and they do it and they're like, oh, how do I get the money for it? And I'm like, well, I just so happen to have some. You want to do the deal together, and not that they need me, that we show them how to get money too. It's fun doing deals with others over by yourself. Well, you got another one going on. You're buying from the city. What's the numbers look like on that one?
So yeah, we're still kind of in assessment. So we bought 2.5 acre parcel from this lady who inherited it. And then right next door, there's another, it's like 1.2, 1.1 acres that the city owns. And so we already own the one, got a good deal on that. It was, it's probably worth 80K. We bought it for 30. But if we combine it with this other one, it gives us way more building area. And we're also leveraging that to rezone it with the city right away. And so we have an offer to purchase out. We're buying that other acre for, I think it's 20K. And so really we're trying to figure out now, like, okay, what's our actual upside? Because there's a way where we could potentially have the city give us a bunch of money by putting it into a TID, a tax incremental district, where we can get TIF money, which is tax incremental financing. And they would basically pay for a big chunk of the building costs. So we may actually end up being the developers on this one. We're working with them to have it be rezoned as multifamily. The city desperately needs multifamily, and so they want to provide it. But really at the end of the day, the reason why they're willing to do the TIF is because they want the tax basis later. They want to be able to tax this building, and so they're giving us basically the amount of money that they would tax us for a period of time as an incentive, so we can take that as the bank and we can actually leverage that to build the property and then put it into their tax basis. I think it depends. It's all for negotiation, but usually 7 to 10 years later.
Sounds like a page right out of Donald Trump's book. That's some of the stuff he does with his.
Absolutely.
So, to developer.
Yep, that's right. So we'll see. I honestly don't even know the upside, but we got the land for so cheap. The city's been really, really easy to work with, which is unusual. This is a smaller town outside of Madison. And so that one's exciting. We'll see where it lands. That'll have to be a follow-up on the next podcast we do with you.
There we go. And I assume you got this inherited land deal from your list as well.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yep.
do any other deals besides from your list, or is
No, if I do, we just closed on a 3 unit that, we have other campaigns that we're working, other marketing channels. But what I like about it, the inherited lists, is that the spreads are just the largest. They're the biggest, as far as net profitability goes. I do way more business. My bottom line is significantly more with these inherited properties. And so we have cold calling campaigns, we have all the different lists, but my favorite is inheritance because I make more money. I would rather do one giant deal than a bunch of little tiny small ones.
Yeah, one giant deal a year sounds good to me over a bunch of little tiny ankle biters. So would you prefer, like for your marketing channel, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the direct mail, sending a letter, or a cold call?
To the inheritance specifically.
Yeah, I guess we'll just say for the inheritance. Sure.
Yeah. I always prefer inbound versus outbound. Direct mail, when people are calling me and they're saying like, hey, solve this problem for me. I saw you are interested in land or houses or whatever. I like that call better. From a positioning place, it's a lot cleaner. They raised their hand and then said, yeah, solve my problem. I didn't interrupt their day. It was like, hey, I can solve this problem that you might have. That said, it's an awful metaphor, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like doing cold calling, doing outbound, it works. I've done good deals there. Like I said, we just closed on a 3 unit in downtown Madison. We bought it for 600. It's worth 750. And it's literally in the best. It's 3 blocks away from the Capitol here. Awesome little multifamily property with upside because we can build an ADU. And so, it's not the only way to do it, but, there's deals everywhere. I think, where the positioning happens is like, are you educated enough to know what the upside is actually going to be? And do you have the brass to take action, to do it, to put, your hard-earned money and to accept the downside? I'm in the middle of another awful property where we had term insurance. It expired literally 2 days later, property flooded. We're out, high 6 figures on this deal. And it's unfortunate. It sucks, but at the end of the day, I took that risk. It was poor planning. The term insurance lapsed, and then it was funny. Like we were set to close in 2 days. They did the final walkthrough, and they're like, "It's raining in the kitchen. We're dropping." I'm like, "Oh, great." Anyway,
I hate to hear that. I really do. Something very similar happened to me just recently as well. We listed one of our rental properties to sell it. The first showing said the same thing. It's raining in the house. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? So we sent the contractor over there. Long story short, $41,000 in renovation to clean that up. Insurance lapsed as well. And I was like, how does that happen? We have a mortgage. We pay escrows. Well, there was a little thing they mailed us that never got signed to renew the insurance, and it had lapsed by almost 25 days. I had an attorney and everything on this, and he basically told me yesterday I was SOL. I said, whatever, I'm done, cancel it. I'm not focusing any more time, attention on this whatsoever. We finally sold it. I actually took that 1031 tax exchange money, which should have been almost 200 grand. It turned out to be about 105 now. But I'm closing on a mobile home park today with that money. So basically, we took, crap property, an old dog that needed to be shot, took it out back, and now we'll get some way better cash flow in this mobile home park. But I hate to hear that. But your loss seemed even bigger than mine. But that's part of it. Like you do enough deals, you're gonna have some go south. I've had people have the audacity, these old timers, to tell me that they've never lost money on a real estate deal. I think they're full of crap, or they haven't done enough deals. So if someone tells you that, then I think they probably shouldn't coach you because to know how it feels to lose 40, I lost another. Hopefully we do this on another podcast. Hopefully this doesn't happen. And right now, I think we're going to lose 100 grand on one deal. I pray that doesn't happen, but I can tell you how to make sure it doesn't happen. It's early. You remember the ones you lose money on. You don't remember all the ones you make money on. But Micah, thanks for being on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Guys, head on over to inheritedlandlist.com. Micah gave us so many gold nuggets, about how to turn an angry seller into profits by listening, validating, having empathy, and then humanization, not to weaponize it, but to be a human. And then also $250,000. I'd like to say $250,000 on a land deal. That's like 5 years of pay. When I was in the military, I didn't even make $50,000 a year. So that's like 6 years of pay for me that you made on one land deal when I was in the military. Guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. Micah Nicholas with US Lead List, and we'll see you on the next one, Rhino Nation. God bless.